It was meant to be holy matrimony on decent religious Muslim lines, but Mohammed Sajid Khan and his wife Shasta Khan had been planning a very different newly wedded lifestyle together. That was to plan to bomb Jews in North Manchester. The couple had just been sentenced here at Manchester Crown Court after a month-long terror trial. The judge in this case, Mr. Justice Wilkie, said the trial had moved to uncharted territory when he asked the jury to reconsider an early guilty verdict on a point of law. There are other reasons why this case moved to uncharted territory. For the Jewish community, it was one of the first terror plots to solely target them in the UK. It is also the UK's first case of a husband and wife team being convicted together. And for the police, this was a new style of jihad. No terror training camps and no direct contact with known terror cells or organisations. A team who were self-radicalised in their bedroom and their living room on the internet, using materials they had downloaded from Facebook, Al-Qaeda magazines they had found on Google. Mr. Khan had previously pleaded guilty to planning a bombing act against Jews and targeting Jews at an earlier hearing. Mrs. Khan, who pleaded not guilty, said she didn't know her husband's activities. She didn't understand why her husband had taken her in the car for many hours around Jewish neighbourhoods, synagogues and agencies, looking what we now know to be Jewish targets.
I would say any attack, it doesn't matter what community you're from, bombs and bullets are indiscriminate and they'll harm anybody that gets in the way. So it's a threat to the Northwest, in particular the Jewish community. What I would say, as I've said before, is it's an isolated attack. It's an isolated incident. They're lone actors. Our intelligence systems are good and they are robust. But I'd also like to thank the Jewish community. They've been very mature and patient, not only during the investigation, but also during the inquiry, and that's a credit to them, really.
We've repeatedly stressed the need for looking out for suspicious behaviour around Jewish communities. Apparently this couple made between them at least 11 trips through Jewish neighbourhoods. We don't know exactly how many times they got out of the cars, but it does seem at least 3 or 4 times. So our hope would have been that somebody would have seen it and then somebody would have gone the extra step and actually reported it, including the registration number of the car that they got out of. So there's really good lessons here. Good lessons for CST in terms of what we stress to people, and good lessons for the community as a whole in what they take from this.
When police raided the couple's home at 8 Foster Street in Oldham, they found the tiny terrace house littered with radical material. Al-Qaeda magazines with bombs and guns, magazines that had glorified Osama bin Laden. They also found bomb-making recipes, a recipe which they had appeared to follow in their own kitchen. A pot with boiled bleach was found on the barbecue outside their kitchen, thermometers, a hydrometer, syringes, bleach, peroxide and other materials police experts said throughout the trial were capable of making a volatile concoction, possibly that could kill tens of people, enough to be made within a matter of weeks. The plan was very simple, a short hop from their home in Oldham with whatever bombs they could concoct to press switch to target Jews, either with a pipe bomb or with a submachine gun that the court heard Mr. Khan had acquired at one point and brought into the marital home. Sentencing the couple who stood together at the dock, Mr. Justice Wilkie said Mohammed Sajid Khan was the dominant force in this terror partnership. He was the man with violence previous convictions who was capable of violence and waging an Islamic jihad of terror in this country. He will face an indeterminate sentence for public protection. He may never be released from prison. He must serve a minimum of 7.5 years before being considered released on very stringent licensing terms which will affect his civil liberties for the rest of his life, using the full force of terror laws. Mr. Justice Wilkie said Mohammed Sajid Khan will never be free of those terms. But Shasta Khan, who was the minor force, he said, in this terror partnership, faced a much more lenient sentence. She was said to be a vulnerable woman, desperate for her third marriage not to fail, and would do anything to make it succeed, even following her husband in a terror plot that she did want to succeed, the judge said. She will face a sentence of 8 years in prison, being reduced to 4 on good behaviour. She's already served a year in prison under terror laws, and she could be released within 3 years. What this trial does show is that looking at a few items on Facebook and a few prescribed terror manuals on Google could see the full force of the law being placed upon you.